This week's episode of Still Entitled is brought to you by Udemy, the largest marketplace for online learning. Whether you're looking to learn something new or just sharpen your skills, Udemy has over 65,000 courses starting at just $11.99. Students around the world choose Udemy to discover new passions, expand their skills, and even change careers. Visit ude.my/untitled or download the Udemy app to learn anytime, anywhere. On with the show.
Let's start.
Welcome to Still Entitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
I'm Norm.
Hello, everybody.
How are you boys doing today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
It turns out
afternoon.
Thursday is our podcast.
Oh, well, for the past couple weeks,
Something about making a TV. Somebody's making a TV show and their schedule's real bad. I don't know.
I'm getting PTSD from like 2013.
Oh, yeah, remember that? I'm going to be on tour. I'm going to shoot 20 episodes of Mythbusters this year. We work like 10 hours a day.
I spent all day yesterday at different doctors.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It was productive. In the afternoon, I went and had oral surgery. I had 2 implants put in for 2 new teeth over here on my left side, and I had a carved up molar removed.
3? Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was fine. I actually didn't notice a thing. They put me under, anesthesia, so the whole thing felt like it lasted about 4 minutes.
Oh, that's always good.
And the dentistry is really great these days.
Dental anesthesia is really, really fun. When I had my wisdom teeth out, my anesthesiologist walked in after they'd already given me the let's get you loose shot.
Yeah.
And he said, Will Smith, and shook my hand because his name also was Will Smith. And I
Really?
was 18 years old and completely unable. Like, I was drunk at a level my 18-year-old body had never
Yeah.
experienced before. And that's the last thing I remember.
All right, you and a baseball player.
Yeah.
Also named Will Smith.
It turns out there's some people named Will Smith.
Yeah, it's pretty common.
Yeah.
So then I went to my GP and found out that I have tennis elbow.
What?
Oh.
My left arm has been hurting more and more over the past couple of months. It's been difficult to do things like twist the caps off of bottles.
Oh, old man pain.
And thing 2 was up last weekend for Father's Day. I had a lovely brunch with my sons on Father's Day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was really delightful. And I told him what I had. He's been doing a lot of bouldering for the past couple of years. And he said, it sounds like you have tennis elbow. And I went to the GP and they're like, yeah, you got tennis elbow. Go get one of those compression things.
Yeah.
And it's like the clouds parted and I
magic.
can use my left hand again. It's incredible.
That's really good.
So I'm going to go to some PT and learn some exercises and
Strengthen
take
that
care of
thing
it.
up.
So like compression actually works like the clothes that wear that tighten it up and all your joints and
So
muscles.
what she said was it's that curly-Q tip of your radius that
Yeah.
wraps around. This holds it in orientation so it's not like
It's the ligaments get loose or
yeah,
something, right?
and so it keeps them in line so they're not harming each other.
Is this a making
I don't
injury?
mean to get too technical.
Yeah.
how do they diagnose it? Like, what did you tell them you do to
They asked some hilarious questions like, "Have you fallen in the past couple of years?" And I was
got
like,
up.
"Sure."
In your head was it like a montage, like cue the montage,
Right,
press the
exactly.
button, it's like
Precisely.
pop, pop, pop,
She's
pop.
like,
Maybe.
"What do you do? What do you do on a day-to-day basis?" And I was like, "Oh man," I was like, "I am very physically active."
Do you know who you're dealing with?
Well, they did, but
Okay.
they have to go through these questions. And then she felt this arm,
Yeah.
and then she felt this arm, and then she had me do things with this arm and do things with this arm. And then when she it was about 6 or 7 minutes, and she's like, "Yeah, you got tennis elbow."
All right.
Do you ever
and-
play tennis?
No, I've never, but I have played tennis. I'm
Okay.
a terrible tennis player.
I'm really good at hitting out of the park. I get home runs all the time.
Like I keep thinking of that. That's what Tom Hanks' character does to not endear himself to his wife's new family in the movie Bachelor Party.
I've never actually seen Bachelor
Early
Party.
Tom Hanks comedy.
I'm a big fan of The Burbs. But,
Never saw The Burbs.
Oh, The Burbs is real dark. It's very good. It's darker than Joe versus the Volcano.
Oh, God, I love Joe versus a Volcano. John Patrick Shanley is a national treasure.
That's absolutely true.
He's the writer of Doubt and many other really important and amazing plays, but also wrote and directed Joe versus a Volcano. In fact, we have a perfect replica of the Hula Girl lamp.
Oh, right.
Because it turns out that the Hula Girl lamp is based on a pottery line of tiki pottery that you can still buy. And then my friend Mark Iteraldi from Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, had some replicas made of the lampshade. And so my wife's bedside table is the lamp from Joe versus the Volcano.
awesome.
Yeah. Makes me very happy every time I see it.
I don't think I could do multiple doctor's appointments. You did 3 yesterday, you said?
Just 2.
2, okay. Yeah, stacking that kind of stuff up, I think it would be extremely stressful.
I have to do that. Like on
Yeah.
Mythbusters,
Of course. That makes sense. Yeah.
On Mythbusters, because of the production schedule, I had 4 root canals in one day.
Oh.
The tooth doctor needed a drink more than I did at the end of that.
You got a lot of mileage.
Like their
4
arms
plus
are
hours.
tired.
Yeah,
They got tennis elbow.
Yeah, he was beat.
So have you know this, Norm? You probably haven't experienced this yet. There's a moment when you're in your let's say mid-30s when you go to the doctor and you say, you describe some pain that is new to you, and the doctor is like, well, yep, that's a thing that happens.
Yeah,
you've got the old.
My wife needed glasses, and the doctor was like, "Yeah, you need glasses." And she's like, "I've never needed glasses before." And he's like, "How old are you? 42?" And she's like, "Yeah." Like right on schedule.
Yeah.
So someday you'll need glasses, Norm.
One day.
One day.
Yeah, one day these won't be fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, one day.
Your decorative glasses.
Yeah. Hey, last week, one of the things that we didn't talk about was what you had done just that weekend before.
That
you were
was
out
a
of town.
crazy thing we left out.
Yeah, you were in New Mexico, of all places.
Beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Ooh.
What an amazing and beautiful town. One of my favorite areas of the country. I have lots of friends in Albuquerque and Santa Fe. And we went down for NomCon, Nation of Makers' first annual convention.
So I know I've been to the website. I know about the organization, right? That you're on the board of. But what does the conference for Nation Makers mean?
I think you should explain what Nation of Makers is, in case people don't remember.
So Nation of Makers is a nonprofit that grew out of work that the Obama White House Office of Science and Technology Policy was doing to equalize access to making for kids and people all across the country in all different socioeconomic strata.
So you did a series of videos in different makerspaces in schools and stuff like that.
That was sponsored by
2016?
Chevron. Yeah, 2016 and 2017.
Okay.
That was sponsored by Chevron as part of that work.
Okay.
And then also out of that same initiative to galvanize making into the next stage and to really train a new generation of digital natives on this equipment, 3D printing, rapid prototyping, Nation of Makers grew.
And not
out of
just
that.
the people who go to makerspaces, but specifically people who run makerspaces.
Well, so
and
Nation of
connecting
Makers is to
them.
help the directors. It's helped anyone who wants to start a makerspace share best practices, curricula, fundraising tips, the legal aspects, the insurance aspects. All of these are something. Just setting up your own hackerspace includes this whole cascade of stuff.
It's like an instruction manual for starting, and it's something that didn't exist before. I mean, Dale Doherty over at Make had done some work with that with schools and stuff like that years ago.
Absolutely,
But
yeah.
there was no kind of, hey, here's the safe legal, like not you're not going to be super liable way to do this.
And it's not that no one's, and it's also not that no one's doing this. Makerspaces across the country are seeking to share their best practices with each other and are building books, theoretical books of knowledge about what they're doing, and they're dying to share it, and they have been. We're just looking to help that conversation happen on a national level.
Cool.
So 400 people convened on Santa Fe to talk about what are the important issues with us, for us all around making. And it was super inspiring. Jen Schachter was there. I helped her build a 6.5 foot tall Rosie the Riveter out of 2,600 separate bricks printed by over 700 makerspaces on 6 continents.
Yeah.
Wow.
Totally amazing.
Sorry, Antarctica.
Yeah, McMurdo just couldn't cough it up.
What a bunch of slackers down there.
You lazy, cold.
The project, which is run by the Build project specifically, run by We the Builders.
We the Builders, which is Todd Blatt and Jen Schachter.
They've done sculptures in the past, but I don't think anything of this scale.
No, this is definitely the biggest
and
one.
I understand from a structural standpoint, like it was a sculpture that Jen did of Rosie the Riveter. The external shell of that, it makes sense, right? You piece together. It's a puzzle, right? But 2,600 piece puzzle, that's 3-dimensional. I couldn't wrap my head around the logistics of piecing the internal pieces and how everything fit together.
Well, so it was in, I think, like 20 some odd layers. And so each layer had a full-size printed out map. And so everyone who got a piece put the number of the piece on it. Its orientation was something that I want to say we figured out, but frankly, I showed up on the second day of building and did a lot of the glory help. The actual legwork was done by a whole team of people, and under Jen and Todd's incredible stewardship. And there was lots of, wait, does this one go? There's 8 positions for every.
Yeah.
6
It's like
positions. Yeah, it's a whole
world's
thing.
most nightmarish survivor puzzle.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
And deeply satisfying to figure it, and figure it out, and then gluing it all together with caulk and glue, and the structural aspect involved.
Rivets, huh?
We were like lifting whole layers that were falling apart as we're moving them into place.
Well, the really cool thing that unlike one of the puzzles that's all one color, this one it was more of a mosaic.
Oh, people just used whatever filament they had.
Well,
in their
No, actually, there was
Oh.
a specific thing, and it was this: send it to us in a skin tone.
Oh, that's super smart. That's
Yeah.
so good.
And maybe
any skin tone.
I didn't cop to that. So when I showed up and I was like, Jen, what was the color guidance you gave? And she was like, skin tone, and I wanted to cry. It was such a beautiful
awesome.
idea. They basically, Jen also looked at this spectrum online, did a bunch of color spectrum research, and gave people, I think, a grid of 16 colors to choose from that went from light to dark, based on filaments that are available.
Stuff you can. Okay.
Yeah.
But people were doing all this wonderful stuff to personalize their bricks too. Somebody actually put rivets in the print as it was printing.
Oh, that's
so
super
they
good.
rattled around. People signed it. People wrote special things on them. I mean, it was the feeling of group involvement was infused throughout the whole thing, and that is terrifically indicative of the whole of NomCon. It really felt like that all the way through. And in the beginning, many of the members of the board of directors and other friends of NomCon got to Santa Fe by taking the train from Los Angeles.
Yes.
We all got on.
Wow.
It was a 17-hour.
I talked to one of your fellow travelers just yesterday, and she said it was a transformative experience.
Dude, we got to take the train. So I've taken many trains I've talked about on the podcast before. I love the trains. My favorite method of conveyance. But doing it with a whole bunch of people,
Yeah.
so much more fun.
I was
I'm
wondering
sure.
the logistics of would it be possible to record a podcast on the train or would it be too loud?
You could do it.
Oh,
with the
no.
right
It would
mics.
be totally possible.
Okay.
It would be a little loud.
It would be a little loud, but the real trick would be get enough people where you can get your own car.
Right.
And you can attach it to the train, or you just take over the whole thing, and
Yeah.
it's all just you and your folks. That would
Right.
be
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, so my friend was saying that like you guys set up the meals. You asked the conductor to set up the meals so that all of your group would kind of be seated in the same sitting,
Yep.
and you'd be able to like mix and mingle and meet new people every time. And she said it was amazing.
It's exactly how it went. It
That's
was
so
really
good.
lovely. And the observation car too, we would like get up really early and look at. And so you leave Los Angeles at like 6 p.m. You have dinner, you see the view of, the various Los Angeles train stations on your way out east, sorry. And then you wake up and you're in the desert. And the view out the window feels like it could be Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
It's just, it hasn't changed in 150 years
It's got the
since they
Westworld
built
theme
that
in my head
train.
now.
Yeah. And it's super gorgeous. Everywhere they stop, you feel a little bit different, of that desert weather. It was great. It was a terrific way to get into the zone.
It reminded me of the train jam, which is a thing that happens in the springtime before GDC. So a bunch of game developers get on they basically buy out the entire train. It runs from Chicago to Emeryville, and they get on in Chicago. And by the end of the thing, then there've like been 20 teams.
Yeah.
The teams form spontaneously out of people on the jam. I mean, some people bring their own teams, I guess. And then they present the games at GDC when they get here. And it's like a 4-day long. Jason did that. Jason Ims, one of our former staff writers from before your time, went on the ride two or 3 years ago and covered it and
It's a
said
great
it was
train
just
ride.
an exceptional.
Yeah. I've
experience
done it
for
from
him.
Emeryville to Chicago, but not the other way.
California Zephyr
Yep.
5.
Yep.
Yep.
So we got to do a tested train.
Oh,
I'm totally down with that.
man.
NomCon was amazing. There were all sorts of phenomenal talks. Kip Bradford did an amazing one. Jen Schachter also did a really incredible one on intersectionality and privilege. And then our friends at Magic Wheelchair gave a presentation, after which there was not a dry eye in the house, as there usually isn't when Magic Wheelchair is showing its wonderful.
What's Magic Wheelchair, Adam?
Magic Wheelchair is a organization whose goal is to help kids who are in wheelchairs enjoy cosplay along with the rest of us.
Oh my God, that's so good.
And it's not to. This isn't the goal isn't to build stuff on people's wheelchairs. It's to actively collaborate with them to find the thing that they want to dress up as and find a shop to help them. And Tested's being part of.
Oh, that's so good.
We went there last year at San Diego Comic-Con. There was a beautiful unveiling of all DC universe.
Yeah, Justice League.
Justice League.
Wheelchairs. And the creativity, because design constraint it's cosplay, right? You have to think of it as not just building a vehicle. You're building something for a kid to be able to play in. So there's a lot of interactivity and a lot of creativity that goes. Like the Aquaman one in the Justice League lineup was probably the most so cool. Look, seahorses.
Did you actually go underwater?
Well, I don't think you go underwater.
Not on purpose.
And then they've done Jurassic Park. They've done like dinosaurs.
Oh, that sounds good.
Oh, so the dinosaur, one of the big dinosaur chairs was at NomCon, and it was gorgeous, and it was all carved out of mattress foam and painted with acrylics, but it looked amazing.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And then this year for San Diego, it's gonna be Star Wars themed.
Ooh.
Yeah. And we are helping. Tess
Yes,
is part
yes.
of this.
Oh,
And,
that's awesome.
We're going to
And
be
a lot
covering it. Yeah.
A lot of our familiar friends who we've worked with in the past, and Tom Spina, Fawn Davis, they're all having teams. So
Oh man, that's so good.
Yeah, super inspiring.
I had never heard of this before. This is amazing.
No,
I'm so
it's
glad
really
yeah.
it's feel good all the way down.
Oh, that's like you see little kids looking at cosplay and engaging in cosplay at Maker Faire, Comic Con, wherever it is, and it's like my daughter we went to the Incredibles this week. My daughter put on we made a Violet costume for her because she wanted to dress up like an Incredible. And
did you want to borrow my muscle suit? You're welcome to.
I might actually for Halloween this year. We'll talk offline.
Copy.
But yeah, it's like that kids would be excluded of that because they're in a wheelchair blows, and it's awesome that people are. I mean, that's rad.
And it's
really
been
cool.
growing exponentially every single year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really great. So, NomCon was really inspirational. And again, the confluence of different people from all over the world. I met some kids from the Navajo Nation in their makerspace, and stuff that they're doing was really inspiring. Actually, some of the folks I met there were actively donating tools to Mythbusters Junior, and I got to see them again this week as they were setting some of those rapid prototyping tools up on our set.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. It feels like it feels like we're at the beginning of a wonderful long-term community beneficial set of relationships. That's what it felt like.
I mean, this has been going on for what, 15 years almost, 20 years almost. I guess
Makerspaces and Hackerspaces.
Yeah, I mean,
Make came around in 2004.
Yeah, so we're coming up on 16, 14, 15 years next year. I guess
it's the thing that I kept saying is that it was felt so lucky that Mythbusters came of age alongside the whole maker movement and got to like hand in hand to a certain extent, to be part of that. It felt like the most ideal time for that.
I mean, there was a reason it resonated so well at that moment, right? And that I think that had a lot to do with it.
That's so bizarre in my mind. Like
Right.
growing up with that, like I grew up with that, and there are now kids who grew up and like kids who had FIRST Robotics and don't know a world without those organizations.
Right.
It's the thing I always say about Maker Faire, which is I love that by the time a kid has walked around Maker Faire for 4 hours, they're so tired of seeing robots. They're like, no, Dad, I don't need to see another robot. Let's like what those kids that saw enough robots at age 5, I could have never gotten tired of seeing robots.
Right.
Right. I like the fact that the stuff that those kids are going to build is astounding.
Yeah.
And just the world they live in is really cool.
I was working on something this morning when you arrived, Norm.
This is so funny because I know you're on set, so to give people a little bit of context, you're on set like multiple days a week now.
Yeah.
It very much is like when Will and I were working with you when you were filming Mythbusters, and even back then, we would come in to the cave here, and you would have new projects that you had done very early in the morning, very, very early in the morning, or very, very late at night.
Yeah.
And I think we got a little spoiled in maybe the past 2 years when you were on hiatus between filming, because we would get to watch you build a lot of this stuff. And now we're back in that world where we're coming into the cave, and you have something cool to show, like, when did you build this? How did you find the time?
Oh, this is the best part about me not working here anymore. Is that
Okay, so when you come
in once a week,
yeah.
and I'm like, and it's like Adam does show and tell, and I'm like, oh man, you've been really busy this week. This is all good stuff.
And so the thing that you showed this morning, a fully built thing that's servicing another thing you're going to build.
Yeah. So Tom Sachs told me about this amazing artist colony in Aspen, Colorado called Anderson Ranch. and we have been corresponding for a couple of years. And this year, I pulled the trigger on making the time. And in July, I'm going to go up to Anderson Ranch and be a visiting artist.
Ooh.
And they asked me of a project that I wanted to do, and I said, this is a perfect opportunity for me to finally retackle the Maltese Falcon.
Wow.
If you're familiar with my TED Talk about the Maltese Falcon, it's my problem with it was that I spent all this time building it and molding and casting and multiple iterations of molding and casting until my Maltese Falcon was perfect but too short by like an inch and a half, a significant degree. And so what I did was I gathered together all these hundreds of photos that I've gathered, but also taken. I got an audience with a first generation casting off a Maltese Falcon. I can't tell whose it was. It's a secret, but I got an audience.
You
with
got
this.
to spend some time with.
And so I took a ton of photos and sent them to a friend at Autodesk, and we'll cover all this on Tested. And they did some photogrammetry extrapolation from my pictures, but my pictures were not taken by someone who knew how to do it for photogrammetry. So there's a lot of detail that they missed, but the overall shape is dead on the money. So they printed me out a rough shape, and now I printed it in microcrystalline wax, jeweler's wax, and I am slowly adding all the detail,
The sculptural detail.
all the topography.
Yeah.
And it's an ass kicker, man. I'm not a sculptor. I'm just like going at it about an hour a day. Just, let me work on this feather. Let me work on that feather.
The you sculpting equivalent of writing 1,000 words a day or whatever it is.
I'm
Scalzi
trying.
says to do.
I'm trying, Ringo.
It's so funny because when you say, "Oh, you missed it by 10% too short or something," anyone working digital sculpting today would be, that's no problem. That's press a
just
prompt
drag
and
it
type a
and-
number,
yeah.
and the problem is solved. But when I look over the shelf behind us of the iterations of you have and the other Maltese Falcons that you've seen and collected, like these are all physically sculpted.
Yeah.
Every iteration is a labor.
Well, and not only that, it's funny as I'm going deeply into the research material again and looking at the first generation casting I have pictures of it's different and the same in many ways. But if you look at the one in the movie, it's different than either of the two Leadbirds that were sold at auction. Like, there are aspects to this thing that has changed over time. Each sculpt was slightly different. Each lost wax casting was probably working with a slightly different sculpt. The exactitude is a moving target.
Did they do multiple? Like, was that at a time when they would have had a stunt version for when people are handling it and one that goes on a pedestal, or is it all one?
It's pretty much known that there were at least 2 lead castings made for the film. And that in the scene when they're spinning it around at the end, when Peter Lorre cuts into it and finds out that it's lead, that is an actual lead bird that weighed 50 some odd pounds.
I was going to say it had to be incredibly heavy.
My bronze bird is 29
It
pounds.
is shocking.
And so almost double that.
Wow.
There's no way when Humphrey Bogart is holding it in the photo that he's holding a 50-pound bird.
Yeah.
There's just no way. And a filmmaker in LA came across in the early 90s a resin bird at a flea market that got sold. At Profiles in History, I believe, sold it, and I think it sold again a few years ago. I believe that is absolutely a resin bird made at the time. And in fact, that's the only bird whose measurements I have exactly, 11 1/8 inches tall. Okay. But it's a resin bird, and I did a bunch of research into resins from the 40s. They'd be what they would have used, and even whether they were using polyester or epoxies, the shrinkage would have been somewhere between like 7 and 12%.
Like as it cures?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, big shrinkage because it's these big thermoset reactions where it's a
They get really
exothermic
hot?
reaction.
Yeah.
So there's So then knowing that the bird that sold at Bonham's recently for millions of dollars was said to be about 12 inches tall, I thought, 11 1/8 inches tall plus the shrinkage. So I went with 11 3/4 inches tall.
Okay.
I decided to bridge the gap between the two. And it's as close as I can get.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, I should be. We will cover this on Tested.
Yeah.
It'll end up being sort of like the Shining Maze build,
Yep,
where
yep.
a lot of it's going to be recorded by me on my phone as I go, and then we'll do a final reveal.
Cool.
Oh, I'm so excited.
No, me too. I cannot wait to hold. So we're gonna do a bronze one. That's what we're using their foundry at Anderson Ranch.
I was just saying, one of the things we never did was do the lineup and you tell the story the slow way of the Falcons, and it would be that would be a lovely. We talked about it a bunch.
Yeah,
it would be
yeah.
a lovely kind of Just,
Well, so I have 2 Maltese Falcon shelves that are off in the corner there, and one is everyone else's Maltese Falcon. I buy one of everybody's.
yeah, I got one of those and scanned it and put it in the Adam episode
Yes.
of the Blue Show.
Yep.
And then there's a second shelf of some of the last few castings I have of my original bird, and also all the iterations. I have my original Sculpey Sculpt, I have my interim master, I have my scanning master, etc. And now I have an extra microcrystalline wax casting plus one of the 3D prints. I'm glad to finally be tackling this again.
It's you talked about it for a long time.
Yeah,
Very cool.
It's time to get to it.
And that's you're going to be like in residence there.
Yeah. And Tom will be there at the same time. We're gonna
Oh
cut
boy,
it
you're
out.
going to camp.
Yeah, I'm going to camp. I'm going to art camp, man.
How long do you think it's going to take?
I have no idea.
You
Well, I
stay
mean, we
until
have a
it's done?
schedule, but this is not my area. The foundry work is not my area of expertise,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping to get more than one bird out of this equation.
Cool.
And then today I'll be finishing San Diego Comic-Con's costume.
Yes.
Ooh.
Whatever that might be.
Huh?
Wow, that's like less than a
It's
month
like
away.
it's like it's in here
Gotta
somewhere.
my
make
goodness.
gotta make the most of a full day off.
You're gonna do an
Yeah.
inflatable dinosaur and put the Sioux skull inside it and an armature that lets you carry it around. That's my guess.
Good guess.
That would be great. I wonder if you could, with carbon fiber and stuff, build, the Velociraptor costume is a holy grail for me.
Yeah.
That is totally one. But imagine, like, you've seen some of the Hulkbuster cosplays that people have built out of foam that are like 10 feet tall.
Yep.
Yeah, imagine if you could do a dinosaur.
Well, at least you don't have the problem with the arms.
Yes.
You wouldn't. Yeah. Right.
There's just a little.
You scale it to your. You
Oh, yeah.
scale
Yeah.
You scale the
You
suit
build
to
the
your arm length.
Tyrannosaur to fit your arms.
Yeah, your arm length
exactly.
is the T-Rex. Everything scales
Well,
up.
what was it? We saw it was the Left 4 Dead costume. The giant monster was the first one of those like oversized with the armature that I had ever seen, and we saw it at Comic-Con in maybe like 2000. It was before we started testing. It was 2008
Yeah,
probably.
you had to puppet it.
It was exceptional. It was really, really well. Like those costumes when they're done well are so cool.
Hey everyone, before we continue with this week's episode, I also want to thank the other sponsor of this week's episode, and that is Mack Weldon. With smart design, premium fabrics, and simple shopping, Mack Weldon will be the most comfortable underwear, socks, shirts, undershirts, hoodies, and sweatpants, and more that you'll ever wear. Not only do Mack Weldon's underwear, socks, and shirts look good, they perform well too. Perfect for working out, going to work, going on dates, just everyday life. They even have a line of silver underwear and shirts that are naturally antimicrobial, which means they eliminate odor. And if you don't like your first pair, you can just keep it. They'll still refund you with no questions asked. We used Mack Weldon to get some undershirts, to get some socks, things I never considered buying, nice things of, nice dress socks to go to events. And it was super easy to buy it on the website. And they also have other things, accessories like bags, hats, and wallets as well. It's worth checking out. For 20% off your first order, go to MackWeldon.com and use the promo code Untitled at checkout. Again, that's MackWeldon.com and enter the promo code Untitled at checkout for 20% off your first order. Now back to the show.
And speaking totally about something completely tangential, last year at San Diego Comic-Con, we covered Richard Browning and his incredible rocket suit with the rockets on his arms. You see the video that went around this week of him doing a test run over a lake
No,
for like
It was
several
scary.
minutes with a motorboat chasing him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally amazing.
Real stakes.
Yeah, man.
You don't want to fall in the water there.
No.
No, that would hurt. He was
Well, it would
going
hurt.
at
He-
real
He would
speed.
sink.
Well,
I mean, I'm
also
sure his floats, but-
tank like hitting the water at 30 miles an hour.
I've done it.
Yeah, me
I used
too.
I used to slalom. I used just barefoot water ski the whole thing. Like there's nothing.
No,
It hurts
water's
like,
not soft at
it
that
hurts
speed.
like landing on dirt.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
You guys watch any movies lately?
I watched two things actually. One is old. I watched the Robert Rodriguez Predators movie with Adrian Brody and Topher Grace the other night.
Interesting.
How is what? Wow.
Leading
That-
up to the Shane Black.
I forgot.
Yeah,
that
I was
all
interested
existed.
in
Shane
it.
Black wrote the script.
No,
for
he's
the-
doing
for
the new one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I had never seen it, and it's one of those movies that everybody either loves or hates.
Yeah.
It is Adrian Brody doing like the full bore Adrian Brody
As an action
pianist
hero.
acting, but he's like a special ops soldier action. So the setup for the
When
movie,
I hear special ops soldier, I do not think
No.
Adrian Brody.
no, But so the setup for the movie is that like the predators from the Predator movie
Yeah.
capture humans and dump them on this island,
The most
on this
dangerous
planet,
game.
Okay.
and then they hunt them.
Yes.
And like it's not a good movie, but
No.
it is exceptional.
It
Oh,
sets,
okay.
they capture the world's most deadliest killers. or
Right,
whether they're-
right. Okay.
And then
Over
one
and
of
over
them
again, apparently.
is Yakuza,
Oh.
and who doesn't speak English. And
Yeah.
the whole movie just builds up to the one scene where they all get killed one at a time.
Yeah,
and then
yeah, 10
the
alone
Yakuza
games.
guy, he has a sword, and there's one scene where they've all bonded. They've run off. He tells them to run off, and you have the Predator
Oh, it's so
in
good.
the wavy
Like,
grass
Oh,
Yeah.
no way.
with the Yakuza running at each other.
yeah.
The whole
with
movie
the
is worth
blade.
it for that scene.
Yeah.
Danny Trejo's in it as always. Like it
Who
is a
plays the Yakuza? Is it Jet Li?
No.
no, it's
I don't know. The
somebody who I didn't know. Yeah, it's and the kid from that '70s show is in it. Topher Grace.
Right.
Okay.
You know, the Predator franchise has
for
my
reasons.
favorite tagline of any movie ever, which is Predator 2, where Predator visits New York City. And the tagline
LA.
is, he's in town with a few days to kill.
Oh, that's so good. so yeah, like
That's the Danny Glover Predator movie.
like anyway, yeah, like that movie is not. It's kind of as if they made a Spy Kids movie that didn't have kids and had predators instead.
Interesting. Okay.
If that
Wow.
makes sense. It's,
Yeah,
it, it feels a lot like a Spy Kid. Anyway,
You
and
watch
then-
that.
I have Predator anecdote that's weird.
Go.
Hit me.
Hold on. One of our friends, Mike Micah, wrote this. In Home Alone, Kevin McAllister, his mother, his maiden name is Schaefer. In Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger is Dutch Schaefer.
You think that
So there is a single universe Predator / Home Alone theory that posits that Dutch Schaefer and Kevin McAllister are related and that their
Wow.
trap setting combat skills are genetic.
Wow. I prefer that Home Alone is a direct precedes the Saw movies.
All right.
That-
Oh yeah,
the
Kevin
origin
McAllister
story.
goes up to
Yeah.
be Jigsaw. I can
Yeah,
see that.
that makes
Like
sense.
if that's the case though, Norm, that means that the Home Alone universe and the Aliens universe are the
Exactly.
same.
That's right.
I could deal
And
with
Blade
that.
Runner then is connected to Home Alone.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I could dig this.
Wow.
My wife and I have been rewatching Mad Men from the beginning. Did I talk about this yet?
You and
No.
I talked about it before the show last week, but not
Okay. So you've watched Mad Men?
Of course. Yeah.
all the way through
Yeah.
twice.
I will
actually.
tell you. So you watched it a second time.
Yeah.
I haven't, and I'm shocked that it is, if anything, twice as good as I remember.
Oh, the first few seasons are like the all-time great TV seasons.
We're in the middle of season 4. We just dealt with Don just won the Clio and then went drunkenly pitched the Life Cereal Company.
Yeah.
It's the first time we met Ted Shaw,
Okay.
right?
yeah,
Who
yep,
will
yep.
play such a role later on. It is such an intense and amazing show. Elizabeth Moss and John Hamm and John Slattery and I mean everybody in it is amazing.
Is that the season when Elizabeth Moss and John Hamm get drunk when they're working on a pitch late at night?
I think that's
And
later
that's
this
the next,
season.
That's the end. That's the season finale for this season because when she quits, I think.
One of my all-time
it's
favorite
so good.
lines in the show is when she says, "You never thank me," and he says, "That's
what the money's for."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I ended up meeting the director of that episode. She's a friend of a friend of mine, and you always seek some sort of commonality. And so I was like, "Oh, you know what one of my favorite episodes was?" And I mentioned that. She's like, "I directed that one." So I got to hear stories of what it's like to be on set. Because apparently when John Hamm and Elizabeth Moss get on set together, they do what they will do in the best way. They unpack parts of those characters that the writers didn't expect, and they do things that are really amazing. And apparently it was electric when they had scenes together.
Well, I mean, so that whole show works because the characters are awful and fascinating and so well realized.
John Slattery, man.
Oh man, like all of them. The guy who played Cooper, Burt Cooper.
Yeah.
It's like you could have made a show about any of those characters that went on for as long as Mad Men did. That was like a Mary Tyler Moore style. Hey, here's here's a gal in the city. Here's John Hamm, an old bastard in the city. And
I like that.
I was surprised. Julia would mention that she thought that Bert Cooper was in the show less until watch it again and realize he's in every episode almost doing. And in many seasons, he's the Deus Ex Machina, right? He gets Don to sign the contract. And then later on, when Don gets asked to be on the board of directors of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and Bert says, "There are not many people who get to decide what does and doesn't happen in the world, and you are being offered a seat at the table." And I was like, damn, that is cold. He is like, Bert is this. I love Bert Cooper.
oh yeah,
I love this show. I love Alison Brie. Pete Cosgrove is still a little shitbird. I can't stand
he's
him.
the worst.
Oh, sorry. Pete Campbell.
Cosgrove's okay.
Cosgrove. Ken Cosgrove is great. I love him. And
Yes.
and
Ken Cosgrove ends up
Yes.
he ends
Yeah,
up with
he
the
gives a lot for the company.
he
And
gives it all.
Jared Harris. I love him playing Lane. The British man.
Right.
Ken Cosgrove is going to dance with your wife, Pete. I hope that it's okay.
I would do a podcast where you just
That's
do imitations of all the Mad Men characters.
damn
They're
good.
all really good.
Actually, I got a genuine guffaw out of Rich Sommer, who played Harry, the TV guy on Mad Men, by doing that.
Rich
that
also
impression.
is great.
Rich
Rich is exceptional.
Harry, later, the way Harry treats Don's ex is horrifying.
Well, and the kind of casual desperation that he leads on his day to day in that
Harry
show.
Crane. Yeah, right.
Right, like
So my dad was in that era, and my dad, I remember him telling me about getting hired in the mid to late 50s for, I think, NWA as a, quote, television art director. And just like Harry is on the show, it's super accurate. My dad was like, they hired me with that job title and no one knew what that was or what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because television was nascent. We were all sort of figuring it out as we went along. I was like, do I have an office? And they were like, maybe. And he's like, I went in and found an office. Like, this is my office. And they were like, great.
It's like being a webmaster in the late 90s.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So Mad Men, it's just, it's not a singular pleasure. You can enjoy it again and again and again.
In that, tangentially, but in
Is
that
that
world.
what singular pleasure means? You can only enjoy it once?
That's what occurred to me when I was about to say singular pleasure.
Okay. I was
No,
gonna say-
probably not. But I'm riffing off of.
Sorry,
the
I was just like,
I was the compliment singular pleasure rose up to me, and then I realized how could it be singular if I'm watching it a second time?
That's right. The encore.
It's a cultural
we're
singularity.
redefining language here on Still
Unique.
Untitled.
I recently watched the original Ocean's 11. Have you guys seen
Yeah.
it?
Oh,
yeah.
I watch
Yeah.
it at
No,
least
hold on.
every couple of years.
No,
Yeah.
no, you're talking about the one, the 50s one.
The 1960.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, the
The
Sinatra.
one with Sinatra.
Yes. That's the original.
Yeah, I couldn't get
Oceans.
more than an hour into that.
It is.
It's hard.
Watching it is an amazing exercise in understanding why Steven Soderbergh wanted to remake it. Because he saw the chemistry, he
Right,
saw
right,
something
right.
there. The movie's way too long, 2.5 hours long, and they don't even get to the point of the heist until halfway through. It's
Right,
an
right.
hour of getting people together. But it's I'm not gonna say it's great, but it's really interesting.
Well, there's a vibe to it that you like. It is a cool movie.
It is a Rat Pack movie,
Right,
very
right,
much,
right.
very Mad Men. It's, full of that era type of politics and misogyny, but it's also a heist movie, and seeing Vegas in 1960s, so quaint.
So I'm going to see Ocean's 8 this weekend. We saw Incredibles 2 last week. I know you haven't seen it yet, Adam.
I gotta see it.
Did you see it, Norm?
Yep, I thought.
What'd you like? We're not going to spoil.
Not don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
I don't want to say anything.
I will say
People
that
should go see Incredibles 2.
I'm
That's
dying
what
to
I'll
see
say.
Ocean's 8. My friend Sasha just saw it and told me it was amazing. I can't wait to see it. I'm reminded of the Onion headline for Ocean's 8, which is "Man watching trailer for Ocean's 8 still wondering who the protagonist is." Oh, Onion. Every now and then you can get in a headline that doesn't happen for real.
I feel like the Onion writers, like they've gone from being writers to editors in the last 2 years.
I'm wondering when they're going to sue the Trump administration. Just get in line.
Yeah, recommend watching Incredibles 2.
You should go see that.
I'm going to see it. I'm going to see that. That's maybe I'll see it this weekend.
We came back and my daughter wanted to put on Incredibles 1 after we saw that, and so we did, and it's amazing. how
Incredibles
far-
2 starts the minute Incredibles 1
literally
ends.
I'm the underminer. I may be beneath you, but nothing is beneath me.
One of the great supervillain taglines.
Oh, it's the best. It's
ever.
Everything
And
about
it's
those
John
movies is the
Ratzenberger,
best.
right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Charm.
his cameo in that one.
Yeah.
You know, John Ratzenberger used to host a Travel Channel show, I think called Made in America, if I remember correctly. He
That seems
visited
right.
factories around the country. And when I was an early Discovery talent, and as I said last week on the podcast, you know, Anthony Bourdain was my smoking buddy off in the corner of Discovery events. Ratzenberger also was somebody that I ran into a bunch at these different things, and he was a real sweetie pie.
Please tell me he just told you extensively, lots and lots of trivia about things you didn't care about.
No, but
Just never-ending streams.
a little known fact about the alligator, Adam. No, he's a delightful man.
Oh.
So I'm glad that he's in every Pixar film.
Yeah, he's the best.
I think that's
it.
reasonable.
It's a perfect place to stop. We got a whole day of filming ahead
We
of
do
us.
have a whole day of filming.
today.
There's
Break
been
a
a
leg,
ton
boys.
of the Nerf video continues to be the gift that
Yes.
keeps on giving.
Yeah, you guys should
doing
check
more
that out.
Nerf videos.
I go, yeah, but I don't know what to. I got to scale up now, man.
You
I
just
don't.
look. Just Jurassic World's out now, so your dinosaur thing's done. Look at the next big blockbuster.
The
and
dinosaur shooting the dinosaurs at the end of the Nerf video was Norm's idea, and it was such a surpassingly beautiful, brilliant way to test that weapon.
I'm a big fan of shooting Norm with things. I think that the more things you can shoot Norm with, the better off we all are.
Julia I showed her the finale this morning, and she was wondering which one of the dinosaurs was the one going like this. Was that Ryan?
That might have been Teague.
It might have been Teague.
It was amazing that the three of us in three suits all had different
You had
personalities.
very different personalities.
And we had not put on the suits until that morning.
Right.
And you immediately
Is that the first time
found a personality within your dinosaur.
Is that the first time you'd worn one of those inflatable
Yes,
suits?
yes.
They're really fun, aren't they?
Oh, they're
super fun.
endlessly fun. One of my all-time favorites is the person who does a bunch of the American Ninja Challenge wearing the dinosaur suit.
Yeah.
God.
Oh no, it is incredible.
Oh, let's take this thing that's so difficult that only like 10% of people even get to the end, and then make it even harder.
So
Great.
Anything coming up on the site this week?
We along with you, we visited the Onewheel factory. It's
Yes.
something that was long overdue. You love the Onewheel.
Oh. So sorry. Yeah, just a couple of minutes to cover this. We built the XR, which
Yes.
is the Onewheel guys let me come in and build my own XR. I built an orange one, the only orange one. They laser etched it with its custom name. Julia came up with this. My wife, Sugar Glider.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
The XR is a stated range of between 12 and 17 miles.
Wow.
I will tell you that I have not yet found its limit in San Francisco. The first weekend I had it, I rode it from the Mission to Ocean Beach and back through the park, and I still had 26% power left. 4 days ago, I took it up and over Polk Street, down to across Fort Mason, down to Crissy Field, back up through the Presidio and home again, and that I had 35% power left after that trip. This thing is... I wear out before it does.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, riding a skateboard across San Francisco like that would be exhausting.
It is.
so-
My legs are exhausted. My ankles fall asleep. I have to take breaks. I mean, it's an incredible, it's a game-changing improvement, and it is now a genuine vehicle of transport.
Well, that's why I think you love it so much, is because while it's electric powered and it gets you that last mile much more efficiently than if you were walking or running,
Or 12.
you still have control. You are still, there's skill involved in riding it, and that's why you're using your muscles.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy it. I like it much better than having a controller in my hand. I like that direct one-to-one control that can't be.
But you can use your phone now while you're riding, right? So it's a little-
yeah, I'm just surfing.
getting on
Reddit.
that
I'm
Twitter.
surfing Reddit while
Find out what's happening in
bombing
the
down
world.
hills.
Yeah.
Anyway, the XR is incredible, and I love it. And the video went up this morning.
This morning. So
Yeah.
cool. Check that out. Yeah. And I think that does it.
I think that does
All right,
it.
we're going to get to shooting. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
And before we let you go, I want to thank the final sponsor of this week's show, and that's Stitcher Premium. If you haven't joined Stitcher Premium yet, now's the perfect time. Stitcher Premium gets you completely ad-free episodes of hundreds of shows like Comedy Bang Bang and WTF with Mark Maron. You also get 21,000 hours of exclusive content. New exclusive originals from Paul F. Tompkins' Freedom launching every week for Stitcher Premium members. If you love podcasts, you got to check it out or you'll be missing out. When you listen to ad-free episodes in Stitcher Premium, your favorite podcasters also get paid. Help support your favorite shows and join Stitcher Premium today. For a free month of listening, go to stitcherpremium.com and use the promo code UNTITLED. We'll see you next week.